today's video, we will delve into the intriguing story of the Anunnaki, a narrative that has been surrounded by conspiracy theories, especially following the controversy around the unreleased film titled Anunnaki. The film, which never made it to the screen due to its contentious content, tells the story of humanity's origins as created by an alien race called the Anunnaki, who are said to return a second time. While many consider this story to be purely a conspiracy theory, some people find it compelling, particularly because the Anunnaki are part of the ancient Sumerian beliefs, a civilization known for its sudden rise and fall. Curious to know more? Stay tuned as we explore this Anunnaki conspiracy until the end, dear viewers, whom Allah has honored. Let us first discuss the film Anunnaki. This film is actually an adaptation of a book by Zecharia Sitchin. Sitchin was a controversial anthropologist and an expert in ancient languages who proposed that there were many ancient fragments indicating that humanity was not created by God or a result of evolution as proposed by Darwin, but rather a combination of both. According to Sitchin, about 6,000 years ago, beings called the Anunnaki arrived from a planet known as Nibiru. They came to Earth in search of a special material, monatomic gold, believed to enhance their communication abilities, maintain their youth, and conduct electricity efficiently. Sumeria, at the time, was rich in these minerals, prompting the Anunnaki to decide that they needed to extract and process them. However, lacking sufficient manpower, they resolved to find workers who could be made to mine this precious gold. The Anunnaki then undertook a radical approach. They discovered that Earth was inhabited by Homo erectus, and they decided to genetically engineer these beings by adding their own DNA to enhance their cognitive abilities, making them capable of following instructions. This led to the creation of Homo sapiens, who were named Adamski. From Adamski, a rib rich in DNA was taken and further modified to create a new being named Mulfa, essentially the female version of Adamski. Thus, according to Sitchin, Homo sapiens were not created by God, nor a result of evolutionary processes, but rather through genetic engineering conducted by the Anunnaki. Interestingly, Sitchin draws connections from various religious texts, including the Bible, where it is said, "Let us make man in our image." Sitchin interprets this as a reference to the Anunnaki rather than God, proposing that the Anunnaki, standing up to 3 meters tall, were perceived by ancient humans as divine creators due to their advanced technology and ability to genetically engineer life. After creating Adamski and Mulfa, who are considered the first humans or Homo sapiens, the Anunnaki used them to mine various precious minerals for many years. They built colossal structures, strange pathways, and statues, which were essentially the infrastructure for their mining operations. Sitchin's book suggests that the pyramids, ziggurats, and many other ancient structures buried under oceans were actually built by the Anunnaki to extract Earth's resources and use humans as their workforce. However, the Anunnaki's activities were interrupted. The first reason was that other aliens from different planets also began arriving on Earth, leading to a competition for resources. There were at least 3 other types of aliens. One from Orion, one that looked like reptiles, and another resembling the now familiar, large-headed, big-eyed, gray-skinned aliens. This means that at that time, Earth had 4 different alien species competing for the same resources. After the Great Flood, known as the Flood of Noah, the Anunnaki decided to return to their home planet, leaving humans to survive on their own. Before they left, they also left some other alien races on Earth. And it is speculated that these aliens intermingled with humans, resulting in some of the extraordinary abilities found in some humans today. The Anunnaki are believed to return to Earth again, as foretold in some sacred texts that speak of the second coming of a Messiah. According to these narratives, they will return to provide better guidance to humanity, helping them achieve a higher civilization. The Anunnaki story is a central theme in Zecharia Sitchin's book, which was later adapted into the film Anunnaki. let's explore the traces of the Anunnaki in ancient civilizations according to Sitchin's interpretations. If we go back approximately 445,000 years, there was a highly advanced civilization known as the Sumerians. The term Sumer means land of the black-headed people, and this civilization settled in Mesopotamia around 4500 to 1750 BCE. Mesopotamia, which in Greek means land between two rivers, was located between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, an area we now know as Iraq. The Sumerians are recorded in history as one of the most advanced ancient civilizations in the world. They developed one of the first complex written systems known as cuneiform, which they used to record poetry and historical accounts. The Sumerians were also known for their advancements in agriculture, architecture, mathematics, and astronomy. They built great cities like Ur and Lagash, and established organized political systems governed by powerful kings and priests. Unfortunately, they fell around 2000 BCE after being attacked by stronger civilizations like the Akkadians and Babylonians. However, despite their downfall, the Sumerians left a significant historical legacy that greatly influenced human civilization. One of the discoveries linked to the Sumerians was found in Khorsabad, Iraq. Based on investigations, there are two versions of the archaeological findings of the Sumerian legacy. The first version states that the treasure excavation project took place in October 1849 by an unnamed British archaeologist, while the second version claims that the project was conducted in March 1843, led by a French scientist named Paul-Émile Botta, who discovered the remains of a large Assyrian palace on March 23rd. The outcome of these excavations included the discovery of 14 stone tablets that describe the oldest civilization in the world, detailing the beginning of human creation and the existence of powerful beings referred to by the Sumerians as gods, or sky people with glowing eyes, emanating auras from another world. The Sumerians believed these beings were connected to stars in the sky and called them Anunnaki, meaning those who came from heaven to earth. The term Anunnaki first appeared on inscriptions from the reign of Gudea around 2144 to 2124 BCE, during the third dynasty of Ur. Many archaeologists and anthropologists, including Zecharia Sitchin, have studied these stone tablets over 30 years. Sitchin published a book in 1976 titled The 12th Planet, suggesting that the Sumerian gods named Anunnaki were actually refugees from another world. The tablets describe a god or divine being who created humans, Eden, Adam, and Eve, as creations of these holistic gods or extraterrestrial beings. The details from the tablets are fascinating. The first two tablets explain who the Anunnaki are and where they came from, while the third tablet describes their mission to Earth and the subsequent creation of humans through genetic manipulation by beings who came to Earth. Even the technology that developed within Sumerian society is said to have originated from these beings. Sitchin interprets the text on the stone tablets to mean that the Anunnaki came from a planet called Nibiru, which orbits near Earth every 3,600 years. Nibiru is depicted as a planet much larger than Earth, but is rich in iron oxide, making its rivers and lakes appear red. This abundance of iron oxide caused significant changes in Nibiru's atmosphere, making it inhospitable for life and leading the Anunnaki to seek resources elsewhere. Despite their advanced technology, a blend of alchemy and magic, the Anunnaki required a rare element, gold, to sustain their technology. The Anunnaki needed gold because of its purity, and its nanoparticles could be used to repair the ozone layer and withstand cosmic radiation. This is why NASA uses gold foil for its space stations to protect against radiation. Unfortunately, gold was a rare commodity on Nibiru, so the Anunnaki began exploring the universe in search of planets rich in gold. Eventually, they discovered Earth, which had a plentiful supply of gold. The Anunnaki then landed on a prehistoric Earth, filled with ancient animals like mammoths, prehistoric reptiles, dinosaurs, and apes. The Sumerians, who referred to the Anunnaki as the creator gods, noted that they chose Mesopotamia, near the Persian Gulf, as their temporary settlement for mining. They built a beautiful city named Eridu, also known as Earth Station 1, and created a lush garden filled with trees, fruits, and animals, which they called the Garden of Eden, a name that sounds familiar as it is often referred to as paradise or the sacred garden. The Anunnaki didn't come to Earth alone. They brought another alien race with them, called the Igigi, who served as their slaves, performing forced labor to mine gold on Earth. The story of the Anunnaki and the Igigi is similar to accounts from Babylonian history, written in the 18th century BCE. After enduring brutal forced labor for several thousand years, the Igigi grew tired and eventually rebelled against the oppression by the Anunnaki. This rebellion marked the first war on Earth, but the Igigi could not defeat the Anunnaki and were eventually exterminated. After the Igigi were wiped out, the Anunnaki lost their labor force for mining and began contemplating creating new workers on Earth through genetic engineering. They aimed to produce a new breed of workers who were intelligent enough to perform complex tasks, but not strong enough to rebel. The detailed account of these experiments is found in the Atrahasis artifact, which mentions that before humans were created, there were many unique beings resulting from genetic manipulation, considered imperfect, until some of them were eventually destroyed. The Anunnaki then combined their DNA with that of Homo erectus, or ancient humans, leading to the creation of Homo sapiens. This hybridization resulted in humans who were strong enough to be used as mining slaves and intelligent enough to perform various tasks. The tablets found in Iraq suggest that the first human created by the Anunnaki was named Adamu, which in Hebrew is called Adam, meaning human. The Anunnaki then created other humans, and one story mentions a human created from the rib of Adamu, likely referring to Eve in many historical narratives of human civilization. After the creation process, according to historical texts, the Anunnaki taught humans basic skills such as speaking, socializing, gardening, writing, building houses from clay and stone, and even developing technology to serve the Anunnaki. It should be noted that in every artifact, the Anunnaki are always depicted as very tall, strong beings, possessing highly advanced weapons to suppress rebellions, leading humans to regard them as gods worthy of worship and service. The Anunnaki then placed humans in the mines and other locations in Mesopotamia. Initially, humans were sterile and could not reproduce. However, due to increasing demand for labor in the mines, human genetics were modified again to enable reproduction. At first, the Anunnaki were pleased with the presence of these humans. They even allowed humans to live in Eridu with them and visit the Garden of Eden. This permission came with the condition that humans should not reproduce excessively. However, humans did not comply with this order, and over time, their population in Eridu became excessive, causing the Anunnaki to expel many humans from Eridu and Eden, forcing them to live in the wilderness. This event led to the story of the Garden of Eden and the expulsion of Adam and Eve from paradise. Surprisingly, despite being in the wild, humans evolved to become more intelligent and were able to survive and build new civilizations outside of Mesopotamia. Meanwhile, the humans who remained in Mesopotamia were then entrusted to care for the offspring of the Anunnaki. There were even instances of forbidden relationships, resulting in mixed offspring of human and Anunnaki descent, known as the Nephilim, or giants in ancient times. Looking back at the Sumerian artifacts, it is written that there were 7 major Anunnaki gods: Anu, Enlil, Enki, Kai, Nana, Inanna, and Utu. The most powerful god in Sumerian mythology was Anu, who, based on Akkadian calligraphy, was actually the personification of the sky with infinite wisdom. Anu was the oldest and most revered god, with shrines in almost every city in Sumer. Anu had a wife known as the goddess Ki, representing the earth. The union between Anu and Ki produced the Anunnaki, translated as children of heaven and earth. The first Anunnaki was Enlil, the ruler of air, wind, and storms, responsible for maintaining a safe distance between heaven and earth. The Sumerians believed that before Enlil was born, heaven and earth were inseparable, but after his birth, they finally separated. Enlil was also considered so sacred that even other gods could not look directly at him. His power extended beyond this. He also possessed the Tablets of Destiny, which contained the fate of gods and humans, granting him immense authority and control. Enlil's brother, Enki, was the god of the seas and rivers, a powerful protector of the city of Eridu, who managed and guarded the city for thousands of years. Enki was instructed by Anu to genetically engineer humans as new slaves. According to the Atrahasis artifact, before humans were created, many unique creatures were the result of Enki's creations. Later, Enki married a female of his race named Ninhursag, who helped build the Sumerian civilization with Anu and Enlil. After Enki came his sibling, Nana, the god of the moon, wisdom, and curiosity. Nana was responsible for teaching humans scientific knowledge and astronomy. After Nana's birth, there was Utu, who became the personification of the sun, the defender of justice, truth, and morality. Utu had a sacred chariot that could be used to ascend to the heavens. His brilliance was said to be able to illuminate the world. Utu had a twin sister named Inanna, the goddess of fertility, war, and political power. In some records, she is also referred to as the Heavenly Queen. Inanna was one of the most famous goddesses in Mesopotamia, so well known that she was adopted by the Akkadian, Babylonian, and Assyrian societies under the name Ishtar. In Sumerian tablets, it is written that after the human population became excessive and many intermarriages occurred, Enlil, who had by then replaced his father as leader of the Anunnaki race, became furious. He ensured that no human would ever ascend to power and potentially dominate Nibiru. After many years of intermarriage, when Nibiru entered its 3,600-year cycle and approached Earth's orbit again, Nibiru's strong gravitational pull created chaos on the sun and Earth. This moment would lead to the destruction of early human civilizations. Enlil allowed nature to destroy his brother's creations. This story is actually recorded in the Colbrin Bible, an ancient Bible found in Scotland. In this ancient Bible, Nibiru is referred to as the Destroyer. The text, when translated, states, "People forget the days of the Destroyer. Only the wise know where Nibiru went, and Nibiru will return in the time of destruction." This suggests that Nibiru's existence and its astronomical impact might be real. One piece of evidence is a NASA article published in 2017 titled, "The Super Earth That Could Be Home for Dinner," which suggests the possibility of a ninth planet, potentially 10 times the mass of Earth and 20 times farther from the Sun than Neptune. This potential planet, which may linger on the outer edges of the solar system, is hiding. If this planet X returns to orbit within the solar system, it could be a super version of Earth. Although in historical texts Nibiru is said to usually pass through orbit without causing damage, the tablets suggest that when Nibiru approaches Earth, a catastrophic event occurs. This catastrophe begins with extraordinary anomalies, such as the appearance of black spots on the sun's surface, the Earth's magnetic field weakening, and rising temperatures causing polar ice to melt. This event culminates in rising sea levels, creating floods everywhere. The text on the stone tablets describes that a few days before the flood arrived, the Earth rumbled as if groaning in pain. The night before the disaster struck, Nibiru appeared in the sky like a shining star. The flood that occurred in Eridu is referred to as the Eridu Genesis, but the problem is that many of the tablets that recorded it have been destroyed, so only fragments of the story remain. The remaining tablets say that Enlil saw the flood disaster as an opportunity to cleanse Earth of what he considered unworthy humans. Enlil decided to return to Nibiru, but many Anunnaki chose to stay on Earth to witness the flood and destruction from their ships. Before the Great Disaster, a massive ice sheet in the South Pole collided with an ice slide heading towards the sea, creating a massive tsunami everywhere. This flood, called the Great Flood, continued to move north, reaching and drowning the gold mines built by the Anunnaki in North Africa. The tidal waves continued until they reached and submerged the city of Eridu, which may now be somewhere at the bottom of the Persian Gulf. The text on the tablet tells this story, which, if translated, reads, "Then in darkness at midday and at night, the moon seemed to be swallowed by a monster. The earth trembled with unknown force. The earth seemed restless. At dawn, black clouds appeared on the horizon. The light turned dark. Then the sound of thunder roared, and lightning lit up the sky. On that unforgettable day, the flood with its roar began." Those who witnessed this disaster felt sympathy for their creations, and eventually instructed their chosen ones to build a boat. Among these chosen ones was a figure named Ziud-Sura, who is actually a reference to Noah, who built a great ark to save animals and the remaining humans. In different mythological records, it is said that the Great Flood was caused by the god's wrath over humans who exceeded population limits. Ziud-Sura is mentioned as a righteous king, but in the broken tablets named the Sikhin fragment, there is a clue stating that Ziud-Sura was a priest of the god Enki, who received a warning from Enki about the Great Flood and was instructed to build a great ark. When the flood came, darkening the land, Ziud-Sura sailed on his ark for 7 days and 7 nights, amidst heavy rain and relentless storms, accompanied by giant waves. The ark carried animals, Ziud-Sura's family, and the remaining humans. Although the storm and waves eventually stopped, the heavy rain continued for 40 days and nights. The story of the Great Flood is recorded in almost every civilization on Earth, albeit with different versions. In our religious context, this story is quite familiar. In ancient mythology, it is narrated that after 40 days of floating, the god Utu emerged to meet Ziud-Sura, who immediately prostrated before him and offered a sacrifice of a bull and a sheep. At that time, Anu and Enlil became angry with Enki because Ziud-Sura had managed to save himself thanks to Enki's warning. Ziud-Sura eventually confronted Anu and Enlil, begging for Enki's forgiveness and his own. Seeing Ziud-Sura's sincerity, Anu and Enlil forgave Enki and even granted Ziud-Sura eternal life for preserving the animals brought in his ark, and a handful of humans deemed worthy to continue their existence. After this event, Ziud-Sura was said to be placed in a land across the sea called the Land of Dilmun, a place where the sun rises from the east. Meanwhile, in the Akkadian version recorded in the Epic of Gilgamesh, it was actually Enlil who, as an advisor to Anu, was the one who caused the flood. As an advisor, Enlil said that humans had caused too much noise and that this could no longer be tolerated. So he proposed to Anu and the other gods to exterminate humanity by sending a great flood that could wipe out all humans in a short time. In this version, Noah is not named Ziud-Sura, but rather Utnapishtim, who was informed by Enki, who sympathized with humans, that a great flood was coming and ordered him to build a large boat. So far, research and historical investigations have shown, through ice core samples taken from Greenland and Antarctica, that during the peak of the last ice age, sea levels were 425 feet lower than they are today. The most crucial evidence to prove that the Great Flood actually happened is the clear indication of a rapid rise in sea levels. After the floodwaters finally receded, the Anunnaki race that remained on Earth reconstructed the spaceport. Texts from Sumeria describe how the Anunnaki built structures aligned with the positions of stars. The text, when translated, reads, "Let the earth be a plane that reflects the sky." When Enki approved this, Enlil took action from the distant sky. Enki, who was still on Earth, decided to rebuild the spaceports, even though he faced Enlil's wrath, who ordered him to return to Nibiru immediately. It is said that the pyramids and all the ancient structures worldwide, deemed impossible by experts to build without advanced technology, were actually built by the Anunnaki to guide them back to Earth. By the time the Anunnaki finally left Earth, their influence had spread widely across every corner of the world, from Mesopotamia to India to South America. Enki's extraordinary sympathy made him leave a valuable legacy before returning to Nibiru. He took the time to teach humans broader knowledge about architecture, mathematics, music, writing, astronomy, politics, governance, and so on. Humans were also taught to establish a monarchy system where leaders had to maintain their lineage, meaning that only those of mixed Anunnaki descent or humans genetically manipulated could rule. The kings left behind by the Anunnaki were considered to act as their envoys, ruling according to the ancient principles they taught. This rule of maintaining lineage might explain why, in the past, nobles were reluctant to marry outside their class. Some speculate that the Anunnaki successfully deceived and controlled Earth through selective breeding of nobles for centuries. Another instruction from the Anunnaki before returning to Nibiru was that humans should build temples called ziggurats aligned with star constellations, again to guide them back to Earth. The stone tablets suggest that the possibility of Nibiru approaching Earth again still exists, and the Anunnaki are expected to return to Earth to restore their dominion over the slave race they created. In 2005, the film world was abuzz with news about a film allegedly capable of undermining humanity's faith in its creation origins. The film that caused such a stir was titled W. Anunnaki, directed by John Gress, who was not widely known and was more often involved in special effects work than directing. W. Anunnaki, which he directed, became an independent film that was meant to be a trilogy. Its script was inspired by the book The Anunnaki Chronicles by Zecharia Sitchin. Sitchin's explanation in his book is quite convincing because it provides a rational explanation for the process of human creation through alien genetic engineering. However, many consider Sitchin's theory to be ridiculous and highly fabricated, easily debunked. Sitchin's theory has been one of the most controversial, but it was never banned by the world. Similarly, the film W. Anunnaki, which visualized Sitchin's ideas in great detail, was never officially banned, even though it never premiered in theaters or other platforms. The only reason W. Anunnaki was never released was due to budget constraints, as reported by former crew members and those involved in its production, making it impossible to continue the production process. Moreover, W. Anunnaki is now easily accessible on the internet, and its script is even sold by John Gress on Amazon. Despite its claims that it could undermine faith and make people believe that we were all created by aliens, the story of the Anunnaki is not as sensational as it was reported to be. Worship of the Anunnaki deities is believed to have occurred only in ancient times, as there is very little evidence supporting the existence of any Anunnaki worship cult. The reasons can vary, but it is clear that each member who worshipped the Anunnaki gods had separate cults from one another. Dear viewers, whom Allah has honored, that is a brief discussion about the traces of the Anunnaki from ancient civilizations, according to Zecharia Sitchin's interpretation. From the explanation above, you might have some questions, such as how the Anunnaki are related to Islam. The existence of the Anunnaki is not explicitly mentioned in the Quran, but there are parts in the Quran that can be linked to the Anunnaki, such as the stories of the creation of humans and jinn. Additionally, there are Islamic books that discuss the existence of extraterrestrial beings like the Anunnaki. So, how do Islamic scholars view the Anunnaki? Some scholars consider belief in extraterrestrial beings like the Anunnaki irrelevant to Islamic teachings, while others see it as a possibility that requires further scientific exploration to be fully understood. Can the Anunnaki be used as evidence for the existence of God? The answer is no. There is no direct connection between the Anunnaki and the existence of God. Belief in extraterrestrial beings cannot serve as evidence for God's existence. In Islam, God is understood as something limitless and difficult for humans to describe precisely. Dear viewers, whom Allah has honored, after hearing the explanation about the Anunnaki, it should serve as knowledge about ancient civilizations and events in the universe. We must believe that Allah is the one and only creator and controller of everything, absolute and unparalleled, as stated in Allah's word in Surah Al-Ikhlas. Say, He is Allah, who is one, Allah, the eternal refuge. He neither begets, nor is born, nor is there to him any equivalent. We must believe that Allah is the creator, known as Al-Khaliq, a name that signifies his ability to create everything perfectly and beautifully. Scholars interpret that Allah has absolute power to create everything from nothing, without the need for material elements. He is Allah, the creator, the originator, the shaper. To him belong the best names. Whatever is in the heavens and the earth glorifies him, and he is the mighty, the wise. Quran Surah Al-Hashr 24. And so concludes this video. May it be beneficial and enhance our knowledge. Ameen, O Lord of the worlds. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.